Welcome to Too Fond of Books. My name is Janelle, and this is part 2 of my Try a Chapter of New to Me Authors series. So in the first one, and I'll link to it in the cards here if you haven't had a chance to see that, I have 24 books out from the library by authors that I've never read before. So I decided to try a chapter and just see, do I get on with them? Do I like their writing style? Am I engaged with the story? Do I want to keep it, or is it a book that I can take back to the library? Because I have quite a lot of books out from the library. So this is part 2. I do 6 books in each of these videos, and so let's just dive straight in. The first one, and these 6 books, hilariously, I actually didn't organize these at all. I just pulled all the books that I had from the library that were by new to me authors, and I just grabbed 6. And these 6, I think we could call this a subcategory of, these are some of the international books from the library, totally just by chance. These were all together. So this is Death in Brittany by Jean-Luc Bannalec. This has been translated from the French by, I should have maybe made a note of that, translated by Sorcha McDonough. So this is the first in a series. Sorry. It's called A Captivating Whodunit, introducing Commissioner Dupin, a clever but cantankerous traditional police inspector in an idyllic French seaside village. And he gets called to a case, a hotel owner is found murdered. And what's interesting is that this hotel owner is in his 90s. And it's always interesting to me when someone murders someone who is, in their 80s or their 90s. These people in their 80s and their 90s just don't have a lot longer to live anyway. So it's interesting to me that you would kill someone. So what's the motive behind that? So yes, I read the first chapter of this one, and the first sentence, I've been doing that. Oh, and this was delightful. I always like a map in my mysteries. The first day. The 7th of July was a magnificent summer's day, one of those majestic Atlantic days that always lifted Commissioner Dupin's spirits. So I had said that I was going to read a chapter, but this book doesn't have chapters. It goes by days of the investigation, and the first day is 97 pages long. So I read 26 pages, and I thought that was long enough to get an idea of the story. And this one, I was a little bit back and forth. I think I'm going to keep going with this one, give it more of a shot. I'm not sure if I like the main character, and that's why I'm like hemming and hawing about this one. I'm a little unsure of the main character, but I like the writing style. I like the translation works for me. Sometimes when you read a translated work, it can feel a little obvious that it's translated, or a little bit chunky or whatever, but this one was good. And I love the setting. It's in Brittany in France, and so yeah, it's a great setting. So the only thing was that I'm a little unsure of whether or not I'm going to like the main character, but I liked it enough that I'm going to keep going with this one. The second book I tried was The Decagon House Murders by Yukito Ayatsuji. I probably am not saying that correctly. This was originally written in Japan in 1987, and it was translated into the English in 2015. And the translator is Ho-Ling Wong. Okay, this book got my attention immediately from the synopsis. A Japanese bestseller inspired by Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. Yes, please. So I was already predisposed to love this book. Major buzzwords here. Agatha Christie, And Then There Were None. Obviously, we've got murders on an island, so you've got that isolated closed circle, which I love. The lonely rock-bound island of Tsunojima is notorious as the site of a series of bloody, unsolved murders. Some even say it's haunted. One thing's for sure, it's the perfect destination for the K University Mystery Club's trip. But when the first club member turns up dead, the remaining amateur sleuths realize they will need all of their murder mystery expertise to get off the island alive. Okay, that is awesome. Also, I really liked how it was set up. The table of contents shows first day on the island, first day on the mainland, second day on the island, second day on the mainland. I thought that was great. And so I just read the prologue. First line of the prologue. The sea at night, a time of peace. And the prologue was great. So if you are familiar with Agatha Christie's and then there are blah, 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 and then there were none, the prologue of this is just gonna ring so many bells for you of that story. So yeah, I am definitely going to continue with this one. I found the prologue really intriguing, and I'm just really curious to see where the author goes with this story. And then I read the first chapter of A Very Pukka Murder by Arjun Raj Gayand. Sorry, again, I'm not familiar with that name. This is a book set in India in 1909. So again, there are things that are just, grabbing my attention with this book. The setting of India, the time period, 1909, all of that is really interesting to me. The first sentence, chapter 1. From the northernmost borders of icy Kashmir to the shark-infested shores of the Malabar coast, Major William Russell, the resident of the princely state of Rajpur, was renowned for being a man of unshakable habit. I got along really well with the writing style of this. I loved the setting and the time period, and I really enjoyed the first chapter. I was intrigued and pulled into the story, so this is another one that I will definitely be continuing on with. This one, the morning after the New Year's ball, the resident, this man from the first sentence, Major William Russell, hasn't come downstairs for breakfast, and his staff knows that there's something definitely wrong with that, and he is discovered dead. And according to the synopsis, we have a Maharaja from that state decides to investigate the murder himself. And then we move to France again, and this is The Reader's Room by Antoine Laurain. This one is another one that has been translated by Gallic Books, Jane Aiken, Emily Boyce, and Polly McIntosh. And this, again, this one was interesting. There were some buzzwords for me in here too. It's set in a publishing house. There are a series of murders reminiscent of those in a manuscript that they received at that publishing house with no name. And so, yeah, I was just intrigued. And then I read the first chapter or the prologue. It could be the prologue. It's hard to tell because it's split into chapters, but they're not numbered or anything. But yeah, I was intrigued, and I am definitely going to continue with this one as well. The first sentence. Marcel Proust opened his heavy-lidded eyes and gave her a look that was kindly, with a touch of irony, as if to say he knew why she was there. So yeah, The Reader's Room is one I will definitely continue reading. And then The Mausoleum by David Mark. Keeping a secret can be murder. This is set in England. Nope. I think Scotland. It's a little hard to tell. The Scottish borders. In the autumn of 1967. And this woman is in a graveyard, or in the local churchyard, and she glimpses a corpse, but when the storm passes, and she goes to tell the police, but the body has vanished, and so nobody believes her. And there is a connection to a former POW camp that was set up in the village during World War II. The first sentence of the prologue, October 2nd, 2010. The voice is brittle, raw. The words sound as if they are being scratched into sandpaper with a coffin nail. I thought that was pretty good. But then I also liked the first sentence. The first sentence of the first chapter. Although they're not listed by chapters, they're listed by perspectives. So we get Cordelia and Felicity. So this is Cordelia. October 1967. I was lying in a grave the first time I met Felicity. I thought that was good. So again, there's some buzzwords here that intrigued me. I liked that it was set in the 60s. The connection to World War II is interesting. However, the two main characters, their names are Cordelia Hemlock and Felicity Goose. Right away, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. Those names are ridiculous. But I read the chapter and I was intrigued. So again, I like the setting, that it's the Scottish borders, 1967. And I got on with the writing style in the chapter that I read, and I found I was drawn right into the story, and I was intrigued by these two female characters despite their ridiculous names. So this, again, this is one that I'm going to continue with. And then last but not least, this is The Missing Diamond, Murder by Diane Janes. This is part of a series, and I don't believe that this is the first one in the series. I think it's actually potentially the second or third in the series. And I was okay with not starting at the beginning of the series, but I was not blown away by this one. This one is set in 1930, so it's a historical mystery set in 1930, and that normally is something that intrigues me, which is one of the reasons why I would have taken this out from the library. The main character is someone who is in the midst of divorce proceedings. It's not going well, and so she travels to Devon, and someone there has a diamond go missing. And so the first chapter was this main character, Frances, at her lawyer's office, her solicitor's office, and it was okay, but it just didn't grab me. And again, this is one where I'm not, I'm not saying I would never read this book, but it's just not for right now story for me. So of the 6, I'm sending one back to the library, and I'm going to continue with 5 of them. So of those 5, have you read any of these books? I would love to chat with you in the comment section down below. And do you have a recommendation for me of which of these 5 I should start with? That would also be really fun to hear from you. And I will see you in another video soon.